Tips for first-time Uber users, and this isn't just for Uber, it's for Uber, Lyft, anything like that. Rule number one, the most important thing to remember anytime you order an Uber or anything like that, whenever they get there, you never say, "Are you here for your name?" So if it was me ordering it, I would never say, "Are you here for Sarah?" Because then they can just say yes, and that might not be your ride. You always want to say, "Who are you here for?" and make them say your name. Rule number two, in the app, it will tell you what kind of vehicle they're in and their tag number. Always look at that tag number and walk around to the back of their vehicle after they've told you that they're there for you. Walk around to the back of their vehicle and make sure the tag number matches what it tells you on your app. Rule number three, and this isn't really a rule, it's just something to keep in mind, but whenever you're in the vehicle, they're taking you to wherever you want to go. On the app, you can watch them follow the GPS to where they're taking you. Now, sometimes they won't follow that exactly, and typically they'll put it in Google Maps or something on their own. It will be posted on their dash, so you can watch that as well. And they don't always follow what it says to do. And it's very easy to panic if you see them not following what the GPS says to do. But remember that they live there, they're from that city, so if you're in a really congested area, they probably know more about how to get around that traffic, so it's easy to panic when you see that, but just know that's not always reason for panic. And lastly, rule number four, you never want them to know that you have no idea where you are. Typically, people just don't really talk in Ubers. Sometimes you'll have an Uber driver who tries to talk and make conversation, but that's just usually not typical. Usually just nobody talks and it's a silent, little bit awkward car ride. But if you're in there with, friends, 3 or 4 of you, and you see something cool that you want to point out to everyone, instead of saying something like, "Oh my gosh, look over there, look at that," say something like, "Oh my gosh, look guys, as many times as I've been here, I've never noticed that," because you just don't want them to know that you have no clue where you are. For all they know, you might have lived here for a while. You might visit here often, have family here. So just in case they are considering bad intentions, you just want them to think that you know exactly where you are. You just chose to use them instead of taking your car. And I do want to mention that this doesn't mean that Uber and stuff isn't safe, because typically it is. Sometimes you do hear some bad stories, but that is not typical. I personally love using Uber. I think it's a great, easy way to get around in the city. It's just always good to be safe no matter what you're doing.